am Andre Foote, Chairman of the Board of Directors of Regency Petrolem Company Limited. And it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the first annual general meeting of the shareholders since listing on the junior market of the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The meeting is being held in a hybrid format, and on behalf of my fellow directors, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all our shareholders, both here in person and on the online platform. We're excited to have been listed on the stock exchange, an accomplishment which we owe to you, our valuable shareholders, and the trust you have placed in the management and board. I also wish to extend a special welcome to the representative of our auditors, McKinley & Associates, Chartered Accountants, Ms. Sharika Hall. Apologies for the absence of Mr. Dane Pattison, partner in the law firm Pattison Mayer Hamilton, our legal advisors. I also want to welcome our registrar, the JC SD Trust and Corporate Services, members of the press, and all other guests, and all members present here this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming the management team of Regency Petrolem Company Limited, who will be introduced to you by our CEO at the appropriate time. I now invite our director, Mr. Edgar Bennett, to offer prayers and bless these proceedings. Edgar.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you please stand with me for prayer? Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings you have bestowed upon Regency Petroleum. We thank you for the successes that we can celebrate. We thank you for the opportunities to grow. And we look to you, Lord, with confidence that you will take us into the future. We pray that you may bless these proceedings, bless all the management team members, all the shareholders and stakeholders and their families. And we pray that you may help that Regency will continue to add value to the lives of Jamaicans and non-Jamaicans here and abroad. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Edgar. Later in these proceedings, we will hear from our CEO, Mr. Andrew Williams, and the representative of the auditors. You may address any questions to both gentlemen. We look forward to a robust and fulsome discussions, and while we may not have the time to fully address them all in this forum, we will ensure that every question gets answered individually. The notice of the meeting was dispatched to all shareholders on August 17th, 2023. This notice was posted on the Jamaica Stock Exchange website on August 8th, 2023, and is also on the company's website. If there is no objection, I seek permission of the meeting that the notice convening this meeting to be taken as read. May I have a motion? Moved by? Can't hear me. Say name.
Motion is moved by Lanzel Bloomfield.
Lanzel Bloomfield. Thank you, Mr. Bloomfield. Seconded by
Denise Williams.
those in favor. Those against. The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried. I am pleased to have our directors with us today in person, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce them to you. Our directors are, from my far left, Mr. Andrew Cockin. Next to him, Mr. Ratcliffe Nibbs. Then Edgar Bennett. And our beloved company secretary, Madam Secretary, Janice Grant Taff. And of course, the real big man, the CEO, Mr. Andrew Williams. You will note from their summarized profiles on pages 7 and 8 of the annual report that the members have a wealth of experience, and together there's a good balance of diverse and relevant skills required to lead this company. Also present with us today, of course, it's okay. We introduced her already, Madam Secretary. And we thank her wholeheartedly for the amazing job that she's been doing. I was just telling her that I don't know how I would manage without her. I would like to take this opportunity to highlight the excellent work done during the past year by our board and its committees. We are grateful to the members for their continued vigilance, diligence, and guidance regarding the critical governance functions during the year. The keen attention to details and in getting our financial results published on time are commendable. I am particularly pleased with the projects launched by the company over the past several months, and I am sure you will join me in commending our CEO, who brings energy and vision and insights in delivering new ideas to the table and for his leadership of the team. We have also commenced to build out of our corporate governance framework, which is a key pillar in the evolution of the company and which will underpin how we achieve what we do with transparency and within regulatory guidelines. The CEO will address you on the recent developments in the company since listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. I will now invite the Secretary to take us through the protocols for today's meeting. We ask that you take note that the meeting is being held in a hybrid format, and so shareholders online will be allowed to participate when prompted to do so. Madam Secretary.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to personally extend my own welcome to you all from this platform. Is everybody able to hear me? Can you all hear me? Say, good. All right, for the agenda for today's meeting will flow in keeping with the notice of the annual general meeting, which can be found in your annual report on page 4. So just stay close to that page. You will be asked to consider several resolutions at the appropriate time. So the first order of business will be the annual accounts for the period ended December 31, 2022, and the reports of the directors and auditors thereon. Thereafter, the CEO Mr. Andrew Williams deliver a brief address to the meeting, giving you a high-level summary of company as well as an update on the current operations and outlook. Williams, the chairman will then open the meeting. Shareholder auditors. In terms of the questions, we're going to ask you to bear with us as we want to give everyone an opportunity to ask questions. So we will allow questions from the shareholders in the room first. Remember, we have shareholders online, and then we will take questions from the shareholders online. Everybody got that? So we start with the persons in the room, and then we deal with the persons online. So each member will be allowed 2 questions in the first instance. And if time permits, we will take questions. If you're having any difficulty in participating, please send an email to operations@rplgas. The information will be passed on to the chairman or myself. The second, third, fourth, and fifth items of business will deal with the resolutions to re-elect directors and approve the remuneration of the directors, the appointment of auditors for the year December 2022 by the directors to fix the auditors' fees. The sixth order of business will deal with a special resolution to amend the name of the company. We're not changing RPL, guys, but there's a correction that needs to be made to the name, and you'll be first. And in fact, the notice tells you what the change will be. So we're not correcting the name. In terms of voting, this is the important part, and I really want you to pay attention. We'll ask all shareholders online to have your microphones muted during the proceedings. However, during the question and answer segment, shareholders who indicate a desire to ask questions verbally will have their microphones unmuted. They may ask questions or make comments using the chat box or the Q&A icon located on the bottom of the e-platform. So for those persons online, please take note. And as usual, shareholders' questions and answers and will be addressed during the Q&A segment of the AGM when you are so prompted. So as I indicated, we are allowing you, in order to have a more efficient meeting, we want to ensure that enough persons get an opportunity to ask their questions. So for record-keeping purposes, shareholders are being asked to identify themselves by name and wait to be acknowledged before speaking. If you are holding a proxy for another shareholder, please so indicate before you ask your question. All questions should be addressed to the chairman of this meeting, who will determine the appropriate person who should answer the question. So shareholders online, if you wish to be seen on camera, you'll be allowed. You will be visible to all the other shareholders if you turn your camera on. And similarly, all shareholders who wish to ask their questions are being asked to turn your camera on before speaking. Voting on the resolutions by shareholders will be facilitated via the e-platform, as I pointed out before, and each shareholder will be given 60 seconds to vote. Again, I'm addressing those shareholders online. So you'll be told, as soon as the vote is put to the meeting, you'll be given 60 seconds in which to vote. And once the motion has been moved and seconded, then the proceedings will, we'll tally the count, and then we'll announce the votes. So the instructions for voting are, it will pop up, but I'm just going to take you quickly through it. In order to vote online, you click Vote Now on the left of the screen. Then you select the for or against options, and then you select Submit Vote at the bottom of the pop-up. Then you'll be asked to confirm your vote. If it is yes, if you are sure, you'll click yes. If you wish to change your vote, then you may select no and start over. So I trust that we have been, we are clear on the proceedings, and I'll now hand over to the chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. The next item on the agenda ought to be item number 7, the auditor's report. But due to the inclement weather, they're running a little late. So we're going to go to item number 8 and take the CEO and get the address from the CEO. We'll return to that as soon as they get here. Thank you. Andrew Williams, our CEO.
Good afternoon, everyone, our shareholders present, our shareholders streaming online. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Good afternoon again to our shareholders online. Is our first annual AGM, annual general meeting, and it's a reflection of our 2022 financial year. Say a special thank you to our shareholders. You should be proud to be shareholders for Regency Petrolem. I'm going to tell you why. Regency Petroleum Limited, I'm just a brief outline. All right, Regency Petrolem Limited is a proud Jamaican company, and it's a company that it's in the petroleum industry and energy sector. We started Regency Petroleum as a cooking gas company, and we're now moving into the automotive, and we are strict in the energy sector. We are a Jamaican company, and we want to ensure that our Jamaicans benefit. So in saying so, we decided to list our company on the stock exchange for expansion purposes and to include our Jamaican people to become a part owner of our proud company. Now, for 2022, it was a significant year for the company. This was when we got listed on the JSE, as we all know, in December. So you will find that leading up to our IPO, we had put in preparations. We had our financials being displayed for the past 3 years prior to the IPO. Then we tendered and we aimed to get listed on the stock exchange, which was successful. Thanks again to our shareholders. Now, 2023, moving to 2023, we have experienced, as you can see in our financials, significant growth. And this is primarily because Regency made promises as to what we would have done coming to the IPO with your assistance, our shareholders, and we intend to live up to those promises. Now, that is also reflected in our financials. For 2022, the closing at fourth quarter 2022, leading up to first and second quarter of this year. For 2022, however, which is why we are here, we had challenges. We overcome those challenges, and we are actually performing as our plans and our targets. We have our plans for this coming year, of which all the shareholders are quite aware of, and I can further expound on them with regards to our promise of coming to the IPO for funding to build out a service station in Westmoreland, Paradise Pen, which was successfully completed and opened the 16th of last month, August. Now we have other plans in place that we're targeted, and we are steadily on stream and focused on all our plans ahead and what we have stated. Now, for the remainder of 2023, we have commenced a number of projects, and it is our intention to continue on this path for the completion of these projects so that we can experience our increase in revenues on our operating profits. So that's our plans for this coming year, for the remainder of this. Now, I can promise you, the shareholders, that Regency is being led, and I can't leave this out. Regency is being led by the Almighty Father. I give him all thanks for where we are today, and he is the one who is behind all operations you are seeing at Regency. We put him at the forefront of our operations, and we will continue to do so. And wherever he leads us, we will follow. And in saying so, Regency is in excellent hands, and we will continue on that path. Now, I know you have a number of questions and answers, and we'll go into that later. But I will leave it right there. And I thank you again to all our shareholders online and who are present. Thanks for your input, and you should be proud to be a member or an owner of a proud Jamaican company, which will soon be a multinational company. I give you my word on that. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Also want to give a special welcome to our mentor, Mr. Hugh Graham. Okay, we're going to go into the resolutions now, ladies and gentlemen. On the first item for this afternoon's agenda, the audited financial statements and reports, which were contained in the company's annual report for the year ended 31st December 2022, are now before you. May I have a motion that the director's report be taken as read? May I have a proposal? A proposal for the motion before you for the audited financial statement be taken as read. Denise? Is there a seconder? Thank you very much, sir. I'm now putting the resolution to the meeting. Those in the room will vote by raising their hands. Those in favor? Any against? Shareholders online, click vote now on the left of your screen and follow the instructions. You have 60 seconds to vote electronically by selecting for or against. We will then await the results. Okay. Results. Those in favor, online? Any against? The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried. We are now going to invite the representative from our auditors, McKinley and Associates, to read the report of the independent auditors. The key audit matters for the 2022 period are highlighted in the financial statements, starting at page 45 of the annual report. Ms. Sharika Hall, welcome.
Share it with.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you can hear me with God's creations outside. All right. So, to the members of Regency Petrolem Company Limited, Independent Auditors Report on the audit of the financial statements. Our opinion. In our opinion, the financial statement gives a true and fair view of the financial position of Regency Petrolem Limited as at 31st December 2022 and of its financial performance and its cash flow for the year then ended in accordance with International Financial Reporting Standards and the Jamaican Company Act. What we have audited. The company's financial statement comprise the statement of financial position as at December 31st, 2022, the statement of comprehensive income for the year then ended, the statement of financial cash flow for the year then ended, the statement of changes in equity for the year then ended, the notes to the financial statement, which includes a summary of significant accounting policies. Basis for opinion. We concluded our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing. Our responsibilities under these standards are further described in the auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statements section of the report. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. Independence. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants issued by the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants. We have fulfilled our other ethical responsibilities in accordance with the IESBA code. Audit scope. As part of designing our audit, we determine materiality and assess the risk of material misstatements in the financial statements. In particular, we consider where management made subjective judgments, for example, in respect of significant accounting estimates that involve making assumptions and considering future events that are inherently uncertain. As in all our audits, we also address the risk of management override of internal controls, including, among other matters, consideration of whether there was evidence of bias that represented a risk of material misstatement due to fraud or error. To the members of Regency Petroleum, key audit matter. Key audit matters are those matters that, in our professional judgment, were of most significance in our audit of the financial statements. Key audit matters are selected from the matters communicated with the audit committee members, but are not intended to represent all matters that were discussed with them. These matters are addressed in the context of our audit of the financial statement as a whole or informing our opinion thereon. We do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. During our work, we encountered no key audit matters that required disclosure. Responsibilities of management and the board of directors for the financial statement. Management is responsible for the preparation of these financial statements that gives a true and fair view in accordance with IFRS and for such internal control as management determines is necessary to enable the preparation of financial statements that are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error. In preparing the financial statements, management is responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters relating to going concern and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management either intends to liquidate the company or cease operation or has no realistic alternative but to do so. The board of directors is responsible for overseeing the company's financial reporting process. Auditor's responsibility for the audit of the financial statement. The objective of our audit are to obtain reasonable assurance whether the financial statements as a whole are free from material misstatements, whether due to fraud or error, or to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance, but is not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with the international standards on auditing will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Material misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decision of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of an audit in accordance with IAS, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risk of material misstatements of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than for one resulting from error, as fraud may include collusion, forgery, intentional omission, misrepresentation, or the override of internal controls. Obtain an understanding of internal control relevant to the audit to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not to express an opinion on the effectiveness of the entity's internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management. If auditor's responsibility for the financial statements continued. Evaluate the overall presentation, structure, and content of the financial statement, including the disclosures and whether the financial statement represent the underlying transactions and events in a manner that achieves a fair presentation. We are not responsible for the direction, supervision, and performance of the company. We remain solely responsible for our audit opinion. Conclude on the appropriateness of management's use of the going concern basis of accounting and, based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists related to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention in our auditor's report to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion. Our conclusions are based on the audit evidence obtained up to the date of our auditor's report. However, future events or conditions may cause the company to cease to continue as a going concern. We communicate with the board of directors of the company regarding, among other matters, the planned scope and timing of the audit and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in internal controls that we identify during our audit. We also provide the board of directors with a statement that we have complied with relevant ethical requirements regarding independence and to communicate with them all relationships and other matters that may reasonably be thought to bear our independence and, where applicable, related safeguard. From the matters communicated with those charged with governance, we determined those matters that were of most significance in the audit of the financial statements of the current period and are, therefore, the key audit matters. We describe these matters in our auditor's report unless law or regulation precludes public disclosure about the matter, or when, in extremely rare circumstances, we determine that a matter should not be communicated in our report because of adverse consequences of doing so would reasonably be expected to outweigh the public interest benefit of such communication. Other information. Management is responsible for other information. The other information comprises the annual report, inclusive of the directors, chairman of the board, and the chief executive officer's report, but does not include the financial statements and the auditor's report thereon. The annual report is expected to be made available to us after the date of the auditor's report. Our opinion on the financial statement does not cover the other information, and we do not express any form of assurance thereon. In connection with our audit of the financial statements, our responsibility is to read the other information identified above when it becomes available and, in doing so, consider whether the other information is materially inconsistent with the financial statements or our knowledge obtained in the audit, or otherwise appear to be materially misstated. When we read the annual report, if we conclude that there is a matter therein, we are required to communicate the matter to those charged with governance. Report on other legal and regulatory requirements. As required by the Jamaican Companies Act, we have obtained all the information and explanation which, to the best of our knowledge and belief, were necessary for our audit. In our opinion, proper accounting records have been kept so far as appears from our examination of those records, and the accompanying financial statements are in agreement therewith and give the information required by the Jamaican Companies Act in the manner so required. The engagement partner on the audit resulting in this independent auditor's report is Wilfred McKinley. This is the reading of our auditor's report. I now hand over to our chairman. Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Sharika Hall. Shareholders, it's now time for you to raise any questions or comments you may have on the reports or business of the company. I ask you to remember the protocols by the secretary. Shareholders in the room are reminded to raise your hand and then wait to be acknowledged. Once acknowledged, please state your name before asking a question or making a comment. Shareholders online, please select the Q&A icon at the bottom of the screen and then type your comment or question in the text box. The floor is now open for questions and comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Martel Fennell, and I have one question about the accounts receivable. I see you have an impairment of bad debt. Could you explain the nature of this bad debt? Is it one customer or many customers, 1.8 million?
Accounts receivables, bad debt. Explain the nature.
Yes.
Okay. For 2022,
Yes.
we had some bad debt coming up of the COVID. Remember, in 2022, we primarily were in LPG. So we had a number of restaurants, bakeries who were in operation in the COVID period when we had cooking gas. So we allow them some leniency above the norm, and because we understand the nature of business in that time. However, I am happy to report with CFO that we have to this day carried down, put plans in place and carried down debt. Our receivables, however, we have it under control in terms of when you look at our revenues, increase in revenues and in proportion to our current receivables, you will see a significant change there in relation. But for 2022, as you're asking, the cause of those bad debts was due to coming from that pandemic, and we had to maintain supply, and we put plans in place where the companies are back up now, because we didn't want what we don't want now is a situation where you cut off the customer completely because they owe you. We believe in our mode of operation that you maintain the customer if they can pay cash, and then the debt are carried on. So we maintain the customer. It's a win-win situation. You hear me? Right. Right. Maintain the customer and carry on our debt in sort of situation.
All right.
So currently our bad debt is actually, that's what we were discussing earlier. Our bad debt has actually gone down.
So that works out next year.
It works out excellent because we maintain the customer, maintain loyalty with the customer, because we gain their loyalty and increase our business.
Okay, Mr. You just have one
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
under the same receivables. There's a deposit on motor vehicle and lease. Is it that you're going to get back this deposit in relationship to motor vehicle?
No, could you repeat that? There's a deposit on?
Deposit
Motor
on
vehicle.
motor vehicle and lease.
Right. So for the motor vehicle and the lease, it is our construction of service station. Our service station in Negril. If you notice, it's a leased property. Now, what we have done to secure that lease arrangement in terms of our costing monthly lease rental, we offer to put up and assist in the construction process to put towards our lease arrangement. And so far, we have exceeded a year worth of lease when that service station is in operation. So that's a deposit on the lease.
About the motor vehicle.
Motor vehicle.
Deposit on motor.
Well, the motor vehicle is a transition from another company. So that deposit, Jerry, you can answer on the motor vehicle. You can give you a better answer on the. Yeah.
Yes, that deposit and lease is still pending. It's a deposit that okay, sorry. It's a deposit that is still there because there was a motor vehicle. Remember, there's a vehicle overseas that we were planning to get, but the construction of the gas station, we're still making a decision if we should still go with it or make different alternative plans. So that is still pending, still on the books.
But you're answering the question about the lease.
That's the question now. Sorry.
No, I want the answer about the motor vehicle.
Right. That's what right. So for the motor vehicle lease, it's not a lease of motor vehicle per se. Coming from the IPO, we had stated in our prospectus that we need to purchase some trucks, some equipment. Now we made deposits on 2 trucks, of which the deposit is still, and we are still expecting these trucks. These are custom made trucks. So we got one already. We received one already, and we have another trailer tank on its way down. So if that deposit on lease is still, it's still awaiting that truck, that trailer. I hope I answered the question. All right.
So,
Chairman, we have two questions online. May I proceed?
Go ahead.
Marlon Roden has asked, what cost containment measures do you intend to implement to improve efficiency ratios?
Okay, it's Marlon. Marlon, all right. As I always state, Regency Petroleum is a company that employs technology. We keep abreast with technology and automation. So with that strategy that we employ of being up to date with technology and being up to date with automation, it's an immediate cut in cost for our operations on both the bulk and the bulk LPG and the bulk automotive fuels. So you will find that we might reduce our human resource to some at some level. And what we'll do will make us more efficient. So I can give you I don't want to state too long, but I want you to completely understand. So let me give you a clear example of a situation that we have at hand right now. We recently opened our service station in Paradise, and for some companies, Excel in Word would have been keeping up to date. However, in this industry, there have been new technology over the past 2-3 years probably, where we no longer need to go to Excel and basically transcribe from paperwork to Excel. We have automated systems in place for particularly the service station now, where we acquired and we procured some equipment that basically is a computerized equipment that is connected to our equipment or our mechanical equipment that makes it automated, so we can straight off the bat, I've been direct now, we can see our levels in our inventory. We're talking about petroleum now, we're talking about fuels, 90 octane fuel, 87 low sulfur diesel and diesel. We can physically see our inventory on our phones, on our computers, or anywhere in the world we are, because we have a probe system in place on these, which is a new system that came out recently. So we can accurately check our inventory without physically, as if you can relate, if you know what the industry is like. You know, when you have a dipstick where you dip in into your tank. We no longer have to do that anymore, which majority of the service stations you probably go to in Jamaica, when you see the truck come, you see them dip in the tank and dipping and checking. No, we don't need to do that. This gives us a comprehensive report with our inventory prior to our delivery, post a delivery. If we have a leak detection system in place, which sends off an alarm. If some of you have a camera system at home where you know if it senses motion, when somebody moves by the camera, you see it sends you a message or notification. That's a similar setup for our inventory. Now, regards to so we have two consoles. We have one for inventory and one for our revenue, our cash sales, and it operates in a similar manner. So to answer your question directly, for us to maintain to control our costs, we employ modern technology and we'll always keep abreast with modern technology. I had a meeting with my staff, with the management team last week, and I will emphasize to them that, listen to me, times are changing. We are now global. The whole economy is global. And if you are employed of whatever management position you are employed in today, doing a particular profile or portfolio, that doesn't mean that as long as you maintain that position, you're going to be doing this particular job or work in that portfolio, because times are changing. So you'll maintain the same position, management position, but you'll find yourself doing other things. So you keep an open mind. Don't think that because today you are doing this, you are entering this, you are entering that. That's what you'll always be doing. Because we are constantly employing technology to make our operations more efficient and cost effective for all to benefit, our company to grow, our shareholders to benefit. And I hope
Over on side.
Okay, one more question. We have Chanel Melvanique Forbes Loden. All protocols observed. Good afternoon. What's the plan for natural gas? Does RPL currently sell this?
Okay, well, Shanique, Chanel. Okay, Chanel. All right. We do not currently sell natural gas. We did some research into natural gas, and what we came upon is that in order for companies to purchase natural gas from us, or any company who would have the need for natural gas, they would have to basically do a whole infrastructure change, because equipment that uses natural gas is a separate equipment than the equipment that would use propane or butane, LPG. So unless there is new businesses, or there are new businesses in the country coming in that are implementing this new equipment for natural gas, then we will delve further into it and say, well, there's a demand, or a huge demand coming in for natural gas, so we need to look at that. Currently, based on my knowledge, it's a small demand, a minimum, not a significant demand for natural gas in Jamaica currently. And we currently have one supplier who is more than the capacity to supply that small. So it would mean infrastructure changes, a lot of changes or upgrade for the company to enter the natural gas. So, and for companies that exist and wish to use natural gas, I can give you an example. Even the hugest bakery in Jamaica, who uses liters, thousands of liters of LPG. If they were to change, so I'm talking about a huge company now. If they were to say, boy, we need to use natural gas, they would have to change all equipment. That is one. Two, the cost difference between natural gas and propane is not that significant currently in Jamaica, because we don't have that huge supply of natural gas in Jamaica. So it is not that significant now, the cost change. So it is not efficient or economical for a company to say, we're going to change from propane to natural gas, because we're not going to be saving that much. So as I said previously, we are moving with as things change with global, we have our own mind. So a few years down the line, we might be strictly natural gas, no propane, but let's see what happens, but we're definitely moving with technology.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you very much, sir. Are there other questions in the room?
Yes. Thank you, Chairman, CEO. Mr. Williams, I wanted to find out what are you looking in terms of our transportation trends, demand for gas? Of course, we're not going to stop traveling. We have the tourist industry. So this is not a question about do you think we will be traveling more, but just what's your outlook? Is there, what is the impact of toll increase on gas demand? Those kind of relationships. So the toll as an impact, domestic travel versus tourist type travel, and the effect on demand for your product. For some of us, we'd like to hear more about why you chose the parish of Westmoreland. Just maybe for a reminder to the persons who knew already, but for some of us may not know why you chose that parish. And so just looking at relationships that benefit your company. Thank you.
All right, there's a number of questions, but I'm going to try and answer all of them. But if I miss one, you can just remind me. Yeah. All right, let me start from the back. Westmoreland, we are originally from Westmoreland. That's our base. So that's where the head office is. So that's where we started out. So we think it was more prudent for us to expand around us where we are known. So that's why Westmoreland. Now, I think I understand your question correctly, where you want to know what is our outlook on the demand for gasoline, right, for in the future. Right. But you want to know if the demand drop based on Okay. What is a necessity? And the cost or whatever, what are the other factors that might hinder the demand for gasoline? It's a necessity. I know it would. Yes, but what I noticed was trans the cost inflation supermarket item. It's all based on gasoline, on fuels, because transportation cost affects the final product. So if fuel prices increase, the final product will increase. Inflation will take place.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that the company benefits from inflation.
Right.
And, everything is related to transportation. I was more looking at, so for example, the toll company, they're looking to have more exits, right? Because they believe the greater number of exits increases their revenue.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So, that relationship might be something, you could analyze in terms of, if consumers are under pressure for debt, is it that people keep their older cars longer, which are not fuel efficient, as opposed to buying new cars? So I'm talking about the relationships. That would be something we'd love to see as to these relationships. How has it benefited? I don't know if I'm making sense. It's just like the activities in the economy.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, everybody needs transportation, yes, there's inflation, but just, as I suppose, as a shareholder, to just read and to understand how the company's making decisions and to look at these
Is that right?
interconnected relationships.
You're talking about
Right, how you're growing the business.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have to grow. We tend to have Regency as a household name in Jamaica. First of all, now we distribute both LPG cooking gas and automotive fuels. Automotive fuels being via the service stations, LPG cooking gas by wholesale bulk cylinders. With regard to what you're asking, right? Yes, we are active. We currently have a number of service stations, or a number of projects on our table currently. So our plans are to complete these projects and further expand into viable areas where we will see our revenues increase. So we will strategically choose these locations as to where we want to expand, both for the LPG and for the automotive fuels. So, and we are known in the industry. We have established ourselves, in our region and gradually across the island now as a petroleum company, and a petroleum company who is quite competitive. And I just leave it at that. Quite competitive. So wherever we go so far, our feedback, based on our due diligence that have been done, and across the island, entire island.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Andrew.
Chairman, we have.
Hold on.
Pleasant good afternoon. Lancel Bloomfield here, shareholder. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
While we can applaud your entry into the LPG market, the entry, however, into the automotive industry and the profits from same is extremely marginal. What about extending into marine and jet fuels?
Okay, you are making reference to the last quarter?
No, overall. your overall
Once,
entry into the automotive industry. So I'm saying the profits from the sale of
marine
Of
jet
mar-
fluid.
from the sale of fuels to the
Right.
automotive industry is extremely marginal.
Right.
And I'm suggesting, what about extending into marine and jet fuels,
No, man,
especially marine fuels because of the fishing industry?
that is actually our consideration currently. We marine fuels and jet fuels. However, that is going to require, I would say, further due diligence on that in terms of our supplier and how competitive we can be in that regard. You have a few suppliers, but they are quite competitive. Now, if we were to enter that market, we have to do our proper due diligence in terms of our proper accounting and our proper forecast to ensure that when we invest into this, it will be profitable currently, and we can compete with our current entry into the automotive fuels. Our financials will show what we have been doing and what we have been doing over the past 2-3 years, and what is made up from automotive fuels, separate and apart from what is made up of LPG. So I hope I answered your question properly.
I would have thought that I hear what you have saying,
Say,
but
say,
for future, I would love to see you
is
going in
and
a
it's noted.
direction that would enhance more profitability for the company.
It's noted. That's
thank you. Yeah.
that's definitely noted and under consideration.
All right. Page 57, note 4. What has caused your audit and accounting fees to have climbed from 1.9 million in 2021 to that of 3.35 million in 2022?
Remember now, in 2021, we were a listed company. 2022, we had to employ our external auditors. Prior to 2022, we didn't have any need for 3 years of auditing. Coming to the IPO, we had to audit 3 years prior to 2022. So that would have taken up majority of the cost you're seeing increase in terms of our accounting fees.
Remember, the IPO came out in December of 2022.
So that's for the stock market, coming to the stock market.
Yeah. So it's a result of the IPO.
Well, our auditor fees, which we wouldn't have had in 2021.
All right. Fair enough. I accept. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I am Natasha Go-Egan. Yeah, I am Natasha Go-Egan,
Natasha,
Go-Agent. And I'd like to know what steps have Regency Petroleum taken to maintain or develop a competitive edge in the market?
what steps have Regency Petroleum taken to develop a competitive edge in the market?
And maintain.
Well,
And maintain?
we don't want to let out too many of our secrets. However, our reputation has shown over the past 3 years that we have been very competitive. And again, I can reiterate what I said earlier with regards to our cost reduction and our employment of automation to the business and technology in the business. That those two combined together assist us in making us more efficient, and we can be more competitive in our costings or in our pricings.
My second question is there are pictures indicating that you have done something, let's say good, for some teachers at Crawford Primary School. Can you elaborate on those activities? And why did you choose Crawford Primary School?
The primary school that you helped, why did you choose a primary school?
Okay, that primary school is actually it's about a 50-meter distance from our LPG filling plant. So as I always state again, that where our locations are, we always try to assist in whatever way socially and economically we can develop the community. So that primary school is just approximately 50 to 70 meters across from the filling station, our LPG filling station. So that's why we decided to choose that for that reason.
Good neighbor, good neighbor.
So what have you done for them?
Huh?
What have you done for the teachers?
What did we
And
do for the
teachers.
teachers?
Okay, it was a Teachers Day, like gifts for the teachers on Teachers Day.
Oh, I thought.
Just showing appreciation to the teachers for Teachers Day.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Secretary.
Okay. Chairman, we have 3 questions from our online shareholders. I'll just take them one by one. We have a question from Marlon Roden, who wants to know, are there plans to partner with other LPG distributors in the eastern parishes?
Okay, when it comes on to LPG, we are talking about bulk petroleum, bulk LPG, hotels, restaurants, and bakeries, and household LPG. That's for households. You can relate to 25 pounds, the 30 pounds, the 100 pounds. We don't have any 30 pounds currently, but we have a 25 and the 100 pound. Now, with regards to partnership, we did a launch recently for the bulk LPG in the corporate area, and that's with Just Gas Limited. And they are the franchise holder under Regency Petroleum for bulk LPG, which is for hotels, restaurants, and bakeries. With regards to the household, currently, we're not looking at any alliances or any takeover of any companies in the. However, we will definitely expand to the corporate area in short time and in short order with regards to retail cooking gas. But currently, there are no plans of any alliances in the corporate area.
The next question, Chairman, is from Omar O'Shane Simpson. His question is, can we look forward to some dividends in the near future?
Well, from the onset of the various different interviews that I had, yes, we are a company that will pay dividends. However, the company is at a growth stage, and as we all know, I can let you know that if you don't know, we are currently developing under construction with a few projects, service stations in particular, and in order for us to pay dividends in the short term, which I would say within the next year, I cannot commit to that currently. However, it's our priority right now to have these current projects completed and operating so we can all experience and see these revenues and profits, from which we will speak further on the dividends. But for sure, that's a part of our policy.
Another question from our online shareholder, Marlon Roden. Do you intend to open a 5th or 6th service station in the short to medium term? And if yes, where?
Opening a service station, it's a long and tedious process. So it requires applications prior to construction process, which I would say would be approximately 18 to 24 months time period. So currently, we have some service stations that we are all aware of or should projects on the table on board that is scheduled to be completed in short order. So yes, after these are completed, we will further look for any further opportunity that may arise or we can seek out and find.
Any other questions
I've not
from
seen any
the floor?
Chair.
Thank you, everyone. Since there are no further questions, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I hear you talk about technology a lot. So, what steps have you taken to guard against cyber criminals?
What steps have you taken to guard against cyber criminals? Cyber criminals.
Yeah, cyber security.
Based on the technology that you have.
I the technology that we are putting in place, it's automation. It's automation, not so much so the involvement of computer science. So yes, that's important to note, especially in this time and age. So it is noted what you have suggested is noted, and it's something that, to be honest with you, we didn't lend much emphasis to that, but it is something that needs to be considered, and we will definitely do so.
Thank you. Okay, thank you again, everyone, for your insightful questions, which will no doubt guide the management and the board. As there are no further questions, I would like to put the vote for the resolution for the adoption of the audited accounts for the year ended December 31st, 2022, and the reports of the directors and auditors thereupon before this meeting. That the audited accounts and the reports of the directors and auditors for the year ended December 31st, 2022 are hereby adopted. Do I have a proposal? Thank you very much, Mr. Bloomfield. Is there a second? Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. I now put the resolution to the meeting. The resolution will be placed in the chat section of your screen. Those online, you have 60 seconds to vote electronically by selecting for or against. Those in the room will vote by raising your hand. Raise your hand, man. Oh wait, you have a vote. Yes, I have a vote. Any against? The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried. We will now move to our second and third item of business. These will be presented by Madam Secretary. Madam Secretary.
Okay. Before you, shareholders, you have the resolution for the re-election of the directors. The summaries of the profiles of the directors who are up for re-election can be found on pages 7 and 8 of the annual report. You will note, though, that this being the first annual general meeting of the company, the articles require all directors to retire, and they are all eligible for re-election, and they have offered themselves for re-election. Hence, I will now put the matter to the meeting for a vote. So the directors retiring under this article are directors Edgar Bennett, Andrew Cocking, Andre Foote, Ratcliffe Nibbs, and Andrew Williams, who being eligible offer themselves for re-election. I would like to see the permission of this meeting, however, to have them appointed en bloc. Is there a comment you have, shareholder? Oh, can you hear? Can they hear? Sorry. Okay, may I have a proposer of the resolution to have the directors voted en bloc? That means all together. I see a hand over there. Is it Denise? May. Secondary, your name, sir?
Mark Barton.
Thank you, Mr. Mack. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in the room, will you please vote by show of hands? All shareholders in the room? So those against? I see no hands against. Shareholders online, could you click vote now, sorry, on the left of your screen and follow the instructions. You have 60 seconds to vote electronically. Select for or against. Okay, we will then declare the resolution carried. The ayes have it. Thank you. Now, the meeting having agreed to put the resolution for the re-election of the directors on block the meeting, we'll now move to the resolution itself. And I now read that directors Edgar Bennett, Andrew Cocking, Andre Foote, Ratcliffe Nibbs, and Andrew Williams, being all the directors of the company who retire by rotation and are eligible for re-election, be and are hereby re-elected as directors of the company en bloc. Do I have a proposal for this resolution? Thank you, Mr. Bloomfield. And remind me of your last name, sir? Mark? Huh? Barton. Okay. Thank you. All right. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in the room, will you vote by raising your hands? Those in favor? Those against? I'm not seeing any hands against. Shareholders online, please click vote now on the left of your screen and follow the instructions. You will have 60 seconds to vote electronically by selecting for or against. We'll then await the results. The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried, and your directors have now been re-elected. I hand over back to the chairman.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. And to the shareholders, thank you for your trust and confidence in returning us as directors. And we will continue to oversee the company with your interests at heart. at all times. Thank you very much. The next resolution before the meeting, resolution number 4, that the amount included in the audited accounts of the company for the year ended December 31st, 2022, as remuneration for their services as directors be and is hereby approved. I now invite the shareholder to propose the resolution. May I have a proposer? Thank you. Will a shareholder please second the motion? I have a seconder. Thank you. I now put the resolution to the meeting. Those in the room will vote by raising your hand. Those in favor? Raise of hands. Thank you. Any against? Shareholders online. Click. Vote now on the left of your screen and follow the instructions. You have 60 seconds for selecting for or against. Those in favor online? Dennis? Any against? The ayes have it. I declare the motion carried. The next motion is to appoint auditors and authorize the directors to fix the remuneration of the auditors. I now move to the next item on the agenda, which deals with the appointment of the auditors. Our auditors, McKinley and Associates, chartered accountants, have expressed their willingness to continue in office and will do so in accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act. The meeting is being asked to authorize the directors to fix the remuneration for the auditors. Resolution that McKinley and Associates, chartered accountants, having agreed to continue in office as auditors, be and hereby appointed auditors for the company to hold office until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting at a remuneration to be fixed by the directors of the company. I now invite a proposer and a shareholder to second. Thank you. I now invite those in the room to, those in favor to raise their hands. Those against, and those online, you know you have 60 seconds to vote, and you know how to vote for or against. 60 seconds. Thank you very much. The ayes have it. I now declare the motion carried. The final agenda item, ladies and gentlemen, is a special resolution to approve the change of name of the company. In the course of registration, the name of the company was abbreviated. We are now seeking to rectify that, so the full name of the company will be reflected going forward. Resolution number 6, that the name of the company be and is hereby changed from Regency Petrolem Co. Limited to Regency Petroleum Company Limited with the consent of the Registrar of Companies. I now invite a shareholder to propose. Thank you. And a seconder. I now ask those in the room to raise their hands if they're in favor. Those against? And those online, we give you 60 seconds to vote for or against. The ayes have it. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the formal business of this meeting. And I thank you very much for your interest and your support. We take your recommendations, your questions, and your feedback and the time that you spent to come here to ask us questions very seriously. Of course, you know, we have a website, so if ever you have a question, you can always go on the website and get in touch with us, because you all are shareholders and we are working in your interests. So thank you all very much. And I now call for the termination of the meeting and the formalities again. So I have to have a proposer and a seconder. Well, we don't know how to go home. Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it. Once again, thank you very much for your attendance and interest, and we look forward to your continued support. God bless you all. Thank you very much.